Between the train and the platform. If anyone had told me 9 years ago when I first set foot in London about all the things I would have seen, I wouldn't believe it. Even though I lived in Brazil most of my life, I think I only saw the Brazilian face, the Brazilian spirit, the Brazilian struggle when I moved to London in 2013. Until then, my life was of an ordinary Paulistana citizen, living the concrete jungle amidst chaos and smoke. Yes, I had seen poverty. Yes, I had seen wealth. I had seen the favela, the drug dealers, the crackheads, the rich and the wealthy of Itaim Bibi and Oscar Freire, and I had seen the skyline of the city from my sobrado in Freguesia do Ó. But I had never seen something way more meaningful than the sea of buildings where I belonged to, the true face of what I call the Brazilian identity, this identity that has so many faces and which I only came to know when I moved to England. I only had a first glimpse of it when I, a 25-year-old ordinary Paulistana back then, decided to move to London with my then boyfriend, C. I thought about giving him a different fake name, but I think the name of a person is the quintessence of what they meant in your life. For that reason, I don't wish to change his name. I'd rather just keep as C. C wanted to move to London because he had just got hold of his Portuguese citizenship and decided to take me with him. You, foreign reader, might not know, but we Brazilians are descendants of our dear Europeans who came to the Americas after the desperation of war and hunger in the old continent. When they settled in the new land, they worked hard and procreated, and their children, and the children of their children, would bear their surnames. These surnames and blood relations then became synonym to power in the shape of a small book, something that I like to call the one that opens doors, the most desired, the red key, or put simply, the red European passport, this little book that has become pivotal for the survival of Brazilian immigrants in Europe. Back to the story. The ins and outs of my relationship with Mr. C are completely irrelevant, dear reader. But let me tell you in good and old French, ma relation était de la merde, meaning my relationship was shite, true shite, for both of us. I made him miserable, he made me miserable, but the point is, sometimes all it takes is something or someone miserable in our lives to see what we really, really want. And I wanted London, all London, magnificent London. On the 31st of October of 2013, Dia de las Brujas, my day, I flew to London as many Brazilians do, full of hopes, dreams and excitement, latching on to the idea that royals walk on the streets, that there are castles everywhere, that everyone is polite and beautiful and will receive you with open arms. Oh, poor silly Raiza. Imagine my sweet old dreams falling flat on my face when I landed na terrinha da Chabete on the first day of autumn. That feels much like winter, having to carry 2 huge suitcases up and down the stairs on the underground. I thought in the first world they would have lifts everywhere, I remember thinking. I would probably have said elevators at the time, to be fair. Good old American English days. I remember hopping off in backcountry in Zone 4 back then. Man, that place is rough. Our Airbnb was located there, at least for the first week in England. Typical old council house with claustrophobic walls and small spaces. I was in absolute shock when it had dawned on me that I would have to share the bathroom with 5 other people. I shall not tell lies, and the owners of the Airbnb were quite nice folk. It was a stray couple. He was English and she was Swedish, who claimed to have bought their house in backcountry. If only we had known what a council house was back then. And that they were really excited explaining to us how things work in the big smoke. After settling in, C and I were famished and decided to explore the area a bit and perhaps eat the famous fish and chips. I remember walking down the streets and thinking, is this really London? The streets are so ugly and it's so cold, so freaking cold. And the wind, it feels like it's invading all parts of my body. Oh great, now it's drizzling. What is that smell? Yikes, greasy food. Wow, there are some strange people over here. And my thoughts were interrupted by C saying, hey, It's here. Let's eat here. It was a chippy. To be honest with you, dear reader, I don't remember understanding the difference between cod and haddock at the time. I don't remember anything whatsoever except for two things. One, the greasy smell in the area, as if the whole of Backcountry was immersed in oil and fat. Two, the fact that I said to the grumpy waitress that I would like to have fish and chips, and she handed them over to me. She handed them over to me clumsily, wait for it, wrapped in a newspaper. Cataploft. Brazilian cacophony. Cacophony. Yep. On a freaking newspaper. Fish and chips in a newspaper. Oh my God, I don't give a hoot about what you gringo is going to say to me, but this is absolutely unacceptable. What is the problem in using paper plates? Paper plates, lady, the ones we use on kids' birthday parties. I was utterly appalled and repulsed, but I had always been a people's pleaser, and I was scared of my boyfriend at the time. When he saw my face, he gave me that look that would make the hair on my neck stand up, so I just kept eating it with disgust, missing my Brazilian food, my Brazilian weather, my Brazilian family. But this, my friend, the shock, the slap in the face given by the wind, the greasy food, the horrifying smell of curry, the dirty bathrooms, the small rooms, the house sharing, these and more are just the beginning of a long journey that the economic migrant that is speaking to you now had to go through. The first rule of the economic migrant, or any migrant for that matter, is you have to let go. Because if you don't, London or whatever place abroad you might be now will eat you alive.